With Bronson here, live in color. All right, people. Neuralex here. I'm with Paul Ablaze, good friend of mine, and we just saw Aquaman, new DC Warner movie.
So I'm gonna be playing the role as the consummate cynic, the guy that bitches too much about everything and nitpicks.
This is going to be a spoiler discussion thing. So here's the thing. Starting now, if you haven't seen Aquaman, just don't watch this because we're gonna spoil the hell out of it. Okay, it's just like we don't care. Okay. Because we don't care. Because I just warn you. So ready? There's going to be spoilers. Spoilers. Okay? Spoilers. Well, okay. Are you guys ready? Well, so let me start this thing. So basically, for those who are not familiar with the DC comic lore, this is the story of Aquaman. Aquaman is half... how do you say that? Like
half Atlantean.
Half Atlantean and half
human. Half
it's not human. Is this human?
Well, yeah, human.
But
half Atlantean, half human.
Okay, yeah, whatever. He's half and half.
Let's just.
He's a bastard.
Yeah. For the sake of this conversation,
yeah. So he's basically like a Jon Snow from the sea. Okay, and story begins. You see his mother, played by Nicole Kidman, go ashore.
Which was a shock because I had no idea that Nicole Kidman was even in this movie. So when I saw her, that was interesting. And Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they made her look younger with that same program they probably use at Marvel, whatever.
They didn't make her work too hard. They didn't give her a lot of dialogue.
Well, she's still in great shape though, so whatever. She's still gorgeous. And then then she gets saved by this lighthouse keeper, and they of course fall in love and have a kid. And that kid is Arthur, aka Aquaman. And then she has to go back. And then all of a sudden, there's like soldiers coming from Atlantis. There's a big explosion out of nowhere at the lighthouse at the house, and then the soldier come in, and then she has to fight them, and basically she leaves them because for the safety of the child and you, my love, I have to go back to Atlantis.
So an important plot point here is that when you're first introduced to Nicole Kidman's character, she's basically washed up on the shore. She's knocked unconscious, and Aquaman's dad lives in the lighthouse, and he discovers her, so he takes her in and starts caring for her. And what's revealed basically is that she was thrown into an arranged marriage, which she didn't want any part of. So she escapes Atlantis in order to just to get the fuck out,
and
whatever.
Fell ashore somehow, escaping,
which makes no fucking. Which one thing that makes absolutely no fucking sense is that they try to make it seem like it's rational because it's like he finds her during a storm. So what you're sort of meant to believe is that I guess there was she was knocked ashore by the storm somehow, even though she's a fucking water creature, and the extent of their powers gets revealed. It's just how the fuck how do you get knocked unconscious? How run into a whale?
And can I just add this little detail? When he picks her up to bring her inside, she's still grabbing on that trident. She's just she's passed out, but there's no way. There's no way. Whatever.
It's when you see in UFC when guys get knocked out and their hands stuck, they're on the ground, but their arms stuck out. It's something like that.
So whatever. That's a reflex. She's not letting go. Whatever. It sticks to her hand. Whatever. Magical. Okay.
So first strike of many.
So whatever. By then you go, and if you've seen the trailer, they do that thing with that snowball going through and seeing the lighthouse. It's good. It's good shots and everything. And then all of a sudden, and she wakes up on the couch and and then whatever. But the whole thing is this: all of a sudden,
they fall in love. You say they fall in love, and then
they have a kid.
They have a kid. They fast forward a couple years. So she's basically been on land for years. She falls in love with Aquaman's dad, whatever the fuck his name is. Who cares? And then boom!
There's an explosion, and there's soldiers from Atlantis coming to bring her back to Atlantis because she's a
king's,
traitor now.
Yeah, well, the king's pissed off that it's like, hey, his betrothed wife ran away. He
like, I was supposed to marry that bitch, whatever. Okay,
character again, and a character too that you never really get to meet.
Yeah.
You know, is this king character who?
Yeah, whatever.
You know, is,
I'm sure it's cut in somewhere in a conversion. Yeah. Okay, so. And then she leaves. She makes a sacrifice. I gotta go back to my people, or they'll come again. They'll find me. They'll send an army, and then I don't want nothing to happen to you, my child, and you, because I love you. Blah blah blah. It's a quick separation. Okay, this is the beginning of the movie. Okay, we went into a bit of detail. We won't go into details for the whole thing. I just want to say that that's basically the movie is made like blocks like this. It's just like block number 1. It's just like the queen, and all of a sudden, boom! Bad guy comes in. They have a crazy, sick battling sequence, and then they go back into further violins and blah blah blah. I'm sorry, and they try to put jokes into it. So basically, that's your movie, okay? Because at one point. I was with him, and it was just like there's that explosion. Everything is speechy, and then all of a sudden everything explodes, and then the bad guy, boom, and the bad guy comes in, and there's a crazy good battle sequence. It's a
reoccurring thing. Yeah, we were talking about it's a reoccurring thing that like
it's at least
whenever
three,
there's a low point,
whenever
they need to introduce a fight sequence. We counted 4, and there's possibly more times where it started with a surprise explosion, surprise attack, and then
when Black Manta arrived, I did that. Even when Aquaman arrived, it was just like everybody was talking about, what's going on? And just like, so that plot thing device was used constantly, and I think that's when
people were constantly being snuck up on other people. And actually, remember when we were in the car talking about this on the way over, we were making comparisons. Basically, what I felt that Aquaman consisted of, like in terms of the genres and the movies they were borrowing from. They were borrowing a lot from Star Wars visually, and like especially the prequels, because visually in the way it's all in the water. It's basically one gigantic CGI fuckfest. And basically, if you just had it's basically space but underwater. Like, so there's spaceships, even though everybody can swim super fast, it doesn't matter. They still use these watercrafts. Which, if you basically simply forget that you're underwater, it might as well be a space. And then another movie genre, or let's say another movie that they take from in terms of plot points is the classic action adventure Indiana Jones. Even
pirate movie.
It
felt like I was saying that to you, man. I felt like it had a very Pirates of the Caribbean vibe.
Yeah, big time. Because that's it. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, it's like there's the lull. You have characters are given a certain amount of information because basically the story revolves around Aquaman. So Aquaman has to.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what has to happen is Aquaman is being thrust back in, trying to get dragged back into the world of Atlanteans because
he's the true heir.
Because there's a lead. So there's a leader. It's Aquaman's half brother wants to Orm. So Orm wants to unite the underwater kingdoms and then basically wage war against humanity. So the only way that it can be stopped is if they basically there's a couple people. There's Willem Dafoe's character and the redhead chick. That they're like, oh no, this is a bad idea, Mara. This is a bad idea. The only way to challenge him properly is to basically find the true heir to the throne or somebody else that has a logical claim to the throne. So by birthright,
and he's the true and then there's a legend that is
even though he's a bastard child. Even though he's a bastard child, but technically he shouldn't.
But he's Jon Snow, but he's still the firstborn.
But the firstborn bastard. I feel like the bastard aspect of it should negate the firstborn aspect of it. Which
doesn't matter as much as in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So the whole plan is basically okay, we need to make sure that Arthur Arthur is the only one that can stop this because he needs to take over and assert his dominion or his right to the throne. And then basically right from the let's say a third, the end of Act 1 is basically Arthur getting his fucking ass kicked by Orm in an action sequence that could have very well been copy pasted and put at the very end of it could have been the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So normally I feel like in a movie like this where, okay, you have these adversaries that have to fight, and you know they're going to have to fight later on because they're the two main characters, and it's one of these kind of action movies, is that when you have the first battle, basically the good guy has to lose, but has to lose in such a spectacular fashion that the story, the story's arc has to like bestow the strength in him to be able to come back and win. The problem I had with this battle sequence was that he wasn't losing so yes, he winds up losing at the end, but it wasn't so decisive.
Yeah, because Orm breaks. That's it. They fight, and then just before they fight, in front of everybody, because it's a claim to the throne.
Yeah.
So in front of all the Atlanteans,
and Orm knows he's gonna win.
Arena style. Yeah.
It's
and Orm says to him, "Oh, you have our mother's trident, but it's very strong, but it's flawed, just like she was." And then I want to say that Orm, what's his Wilson? Is Patrick Wilson his name? The actor who plays him. Whatever, I'm blanking.
The Owl Man.
Yeah, the Owl Man from the Watchmen. Yeah. It's with Night Owl.
Yeah.
So, but he might be the best thing about that movie because, like, the dialogue were so corny at some point, so bad at some points that I was just like, but like somehow he made it look good. I don't know. It's just like somewhere down the line, like they wrote everything. And how corny it was for each fucking dialogues. When he was speaking, it felt like, I don't know, maybe he just has a better delivery. But
he was clearly head and shoulders the best actor. Well, okay, listen, obviously Willem Dafoe was an incredible actor.
No, Willem Dafoe was just like,
he's a side character.
What he had. He was
in terms of a main character, something where there's like a real focal point, he was easily the best actor there and did an incredible job with what he was given.
And his look, man.
His look was
so sick. But he was so identical from the... Even though, like, at the end, when he had the full mask, his eye in the helmet were moving. Like, the helmet was... like, it's like the metal helmet was following the expression around his eye. Yeah. And even though, like, there's probably no rational explanation for this, I still thought it looked cool. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, he has to get the try. Like, he fights Horn for the first time. He loses.
He loses not decisively enough, which I thought was kind of, I felt that Aquaman actually put up a really good fight.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, all right, and then when he sort of ends up losing at the end, because
he blocks, and then his mother's trident gets broken, so basically he can't fight anymore.
That's it. So he gets like basically rescued Ex Machina out of the arena, and then
they decide to go for the trident because that's where I guess Aquaman realized that he's not strong enough. Like they were saying, because I'll just whip his ass.
Yeah, but that's it. Like, he didn't even really believe in the trident anyways. Yeah. That's a whole nother part of the movie. It's that this legendary trident that's supposed to give you dominion over the water and like all this other basically like if you have it, it's kind of like this weird. It's like a weird wild card within the kingdom, okay, and in terms of like how the hierarchy works and who becomes a king, it's like, yes, it's hereditary, but also if you can turns out if you can find this legendary thing, then it's like an automatic it's almost like an automatic you're a king thing because
you control the whole seat.
But they also try to maybe I read into this wrong, but it made it feel like if you had the trident, that was like if you managed to find it. It's funny because it's like
because that was the whole being worthy of having the trident like Thor with his hammer.
It's so funny because it's a relic that so many people don't even believe exists, and it's a plot point. It's a plot point in the movie where Willem Dafoe's like basically they find a map to it, and they're like, we discovered this 15 days ago. So it's
we found out 3 months ago a map,
which is fucking hilarious because you're also supposed to believe that like Atlantis disappeared thousands of years ago, but then there's this whole other history of it that's another, God knows how many fucking thousands of years because like the way the story is
when Atlantis sunk, basically it crushed Atlantic, but like they were reborn underwater.
No, and they say that basically what they say is because they were an advanced civilization, basically the city gets sunk overnight, but then it's okay. So if anybody remembers, there's a Simpsons episode. Oh, is it Simpsons? No, Futurama episode in the first season when they find Atlantis. Okay. Oh, yeah? So no, Atlanta. They find Atlanta because Atlanta sinks. So basically, what happens is so in the episode of Futurama, Atlanta becomes an island. It sinks, and then because of all the pollution, everybody instantly becomes like mutants, and they kind of gloss over like any kind of evolution. They're like, oh well, all the people that sunk, because of the toxins, the pollution, they evolved gills, even though that would have that sort of thing should have taken thousands of years to happen. Yeah. So they do basically they do the exact same thing where they just gloss over. Because it doesn't show that there's any kind of technology to help them breathe underwater, but that's the reason they give how they were able to start living underwater. And also, when your city sinks, you normally get the fuck out and you go onto land, but instead you decide to take the hard road, develop technology that I guess hyperspeeds evolution, and then you're like, the city's down here. We'll stay down here. That's fine.
Oh wow! The more you talk about it,
exactly. And holy shit! Like the way they show Atlanta prior to the doom of Valeria the way they show Atlantis at the doom, before the doom, it's like it's this quasi. It has very much this Star Wars prequel sort of aspect. Like, it's future, but it has these
Roman kind of thing.
Yeah,
with
it's got
the
an
pillars
ancient, so it's ancient, but it's so far in the future. And it's like that's it. The more you think about it, the less it makes sense. The more it hurts your fucking brain. So, God, we've been on like a million.
We said we're gonna do a quick thing. We're like 16 minutes in, and we're just like we're not even close to the notes we like. Okay.
There's just so many things that I guess to help speed this up is like there's so many things that happen. That I feel...
Tell them about the knife, man.
Yeah, so there's so many things, and there's so many these sort of plot points that happen that I feel don't make any sense, and like there's no so the point the note I took on the car right over here is that there's a couple of plot points or a couple things that I believe the movie wanted you to pay attention to, in which there was absolutely zero payoff afterwards.
No payoff.
No payoff. So one thing at the very beginning of the movie when you're introduced to Black Manta is that basically Black Manta. Let's talk about Black Manta.
Let's talk about Black Manta.
What a fucking talk about an awful way of introducing the character into the fucking story. So basically, no, I thought the actor was terrible. I mean, no, they gave him shit lines. They gave him nothing lines. They gave him these throwaway. They gave him throwaway lines and not real any kind of exposition into everything had to get. Basically, everything had to get shoved in so quickly, and they had to introduce him as a bad guy, and then sort of given him a reason for revenge. Because basically he's a pirate.
He's a pirate with his father,
but a high tech pirate.
Yeah, they're high tech pirates.
So they have
him and his father, and then they attack a kind of a Russian submarine at the beginning. We don't really know why. We don't know why.
That's a huge problem. And
we don't know why they attack. Okay, so they attack that submarine
with their own high tech futuristic sub, which you kind of find out was given to him by Orm, but there's this relationship also. Talk about no payoff. Let's say first no payoff is that you never understand why Orm gave him that futuristic submarine and at all. There's no reason for them to be in contact whatsoever.
No, that wasn't the future. That was they said do you remember they're in the bar and at one point they said something about there's a thing on the news. It says, oh yeah, they were attacked by pirates who allegedly stole that high-tech thing from the military. So they were talking about that ship. So what he gets, that's not Atlantic.
Oh, you're right. So it wasn't Atlantean.
That's what technology. He gets later with the soldier and everything.
But regardless,
and then he modifies it to make the big helmet and becomes Black Manta.
But regardless, there's an established relationship between the Black Manta character and the king of the Atlanta, Orm, which there's no explanation for, because after the attack on the submarine in the first couple scenes or whatever, the first real establishing scene of Black Manta, basically Black Manta gets approached by some of Orm's goons, and there's like a payment exchange, but that is never explained as to why Orm wanted Black Manta to even attack him, unless it was to flush out Aquaman. But even that, if that were the case, again, it's not told.
Explained,
and it's not so obvious that that's the reason that you can draw the absolute conclusion. It's left very ethereal, where you're just like, I guess that could be it, because there's no, they don't say. It's like if the dialogue after the attack scene had been Orm going to Black Manta and go like, hey, it's like I paid you to flush out the Aquaman, to flush out my half brother, and you did it. Here's your fucking money. Get the fuck out of here, or
it's
something like that.
And no,
but that would have been the explanation. That would have been the payoff.
And then he also paid him to attack him and the other king, played by Dolph Lundgren, which is Mera's father, to make believe, like, what is it, like, because like nobody attacked him, it was them, right? Like who attacked?
Okay, we're jumping ahead a little bit. So you're talking about when Orm,
you know, that other they're talking, and then all of a sudden,
and then the humans,
so that was number 3.
So this is the other.
So that's
this is the other.
explained.
So this is the other no payoff. You know, where there's no explanation, is that so in a later scene when Orm, the head bad guy, is trying to recruit all the other leaders, he has a meeting with Dolph fucking Lundgren, because he's the leader of the fucking seahorse people. And they're not literally half human seahorse. They just ride seahorses. But so you're introduced to Dolph Lundgren's character, and basically the meeting gets attacked by a submarine, you know, and they use that. Basically, Orm uses that occurrence to be like, see, the humans are attacking us for no reason. They drew first blood, like, you know, they've been polluting our oceans. That's why we need to attack them. That is the whole motivation. Yeah. But the problem with that, so here's the problem with that scene where the submarine attacks them, is that you're not given an explanation why the submarine necessarily attacks them. You're just sort of meant to believe that, like, I guess the submarine was in the area and just shot missiles at him.
Yeah, that's it. That
we're just clear. Like that.
Like, is it that, or like, is that Black Manta that arranged?
That's what it should have been happening.
But like, we don't know.
Yeah,
like, so we don't know. Like, if there was whatever.
Because like, it's like, man, if you're a submarine captain and you're just like, whoa, there's these underwater, like, first of all, you should be made to believe that Atlanta is not discovered because it's in a part of the ocean that cannot be reached. So the idea that a sub comes out of nowhere, attacks them, and it was like the surprise attack, basically just to kick off the action, and then it gets resolved, like the sea people beat the submarine, and then that's it. So basically, you're almost meant to sympathize with Orm, because it's like, yeah, I guess they just attacking you assholes. Like, yeah, you guys should fight back.
That's why I figured out it was Black Manta, but
it's not. No, because that's not established. It's not established as Black Manta. But if you were gonna actually have if the movie was written properly,
you know what it reminds me of?
Then it should have been like, it should have been like, in order for him, you know, Orm to get what he wants. Yeah, he asked Black Manta to attack the meeting to make it. That's what I thought was happening during that scene. Was, oh, okay, so Orm, our head bad guy, orchestrated this attack in order to further, you know, to convince this other guy, Dolph Lundgren. No, it's not. It's absolutely not clear in the movie.
Because here is how I feel. I feel that movie is a bit like Batman v Superman, in a sense, like the movie probably, like the original rough cut probably lasts like 3 hours and a half, and there's no way to put that out. So they cut a bunch of points, but since the tone is not dark like BVS, and you have like Jason Momoa being all like ripped and smiley doing those little jokes, which I gotta say, like, he's the good guy to play that role, in the sense that he's just like, he's a less you know, he's not. It's a bit like The Rock.
Yes, he's exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's a guy.
He's never gonna play it so straight. Like, there's always gonna be jokes. Like, jokes are gonna be.
So he can make seriously look serious. He can be charming. He can do a little thing, and everybody likes him. So it feels a bit like that. So we're just like, you go to the movie, and since there are jokes, and you're following that main quest from Aquaman and Mera to find the trident, and then come back and then say it. Then he finds his mother was in the middle of the earth.
Which is a whole nother
clusterfuck. We're not even gonna, because we're gonna do like a 2-hour thing. But basically, it's just the fact, like, it's so convenient. Whatever.
When you said Batman v Superman, there were a couple moments in the movie where I'm like, oh, we're having a Martha moment here, just like this ex machina of a thing.
Okay,
just
so
like
at the end, he finds his mother, and then the trident is guarded by a kraken, basically. So he has to go to the kraken, and basically the kraken wants to attack him, but then he realizes that since Aquaman, and then there's that whole thing because they make fun of him because he talks to the fish, but that's actually what he uses at the end because he communicates with the kraken. The kraken's
this was the Martha moment. This was it.
That was the Martha moment.
And then the kraken's like, it's like nobody's ever spoken to me in thousands of years. It's just like, what? And it's like, you may try to lift the trident. You know, it's just like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, and then he has the trident and gets out of the waterfall with the armor, and everybody's like, So, and then at the other point, you see the war starting.
Okay, so I want to touch on one thing. So
no.
Okay, what do you want to touch on?
No, it's just one finish. So we're skipping right through the end, but like,
which is fine.
Which is
like
fine.
25 minutes.
So whatever. So he finds the trident, and then there's the final war between Orm and Dolph Lundgren and the whole army against the whole other army.
You know what's funny?
And then they start fighting, and it looks massive because like
it's basically a massive Star Wars spaceship fight.
And then there's but it's underwater with creatures and sharks and seahorse and whatever, and then giant crabs and whatever. So but it's really badass, and that's my thing about that movie because like no, but I mean. All the action scenes were crazy good with crazy. I thought I've never but seriously I've never seen like shots like that first shot when she battles the queen. She battles all the guy that comes in after that explosion. They do that circular shot twice with over and everything with continuous long shot.
Okay, but that's different. That's not the same. That's not the same. And let me tell you why it's not the same. Because that was a hand-to-hand combat with six people total. You had one. You had Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, but those kind of shots, they come back often.
Yes, but it was contained. It was contained in house. So they were able to use a lot of creative camera movements, which made it exciting. It was a hand-to-hand combat. It was, it was the same thing
when Aquaman and Mera fight Black Manta.
But it's not the same as the last battle scene where it was just another one of those big space. It was basically another one of those big space battles that just like at the beginning of Avengers and the ending of both Avengers 1 and 2, where we're gonna send a bunch of. Basically, the screen is just going to get cluttered with bad guys and good guys, and try to follow along as best you can.
So it's a total war underwater, and then all of a sudden the Kraken explode with lava from the bottom, and then Aquaman is just riding it, and then he's taking back control of all the animals that people are riding, and then they just fight it out, and then all in the middle of this, before Orm and Aquaman fight for the very last time, and of course Aquaman's gonna win because he has a trident and he's more powerful now. But of course they had, because like the love thing between Mera and Aquaman was so like.
Hey, hold on. Let's talk about this in a second. So something about, because you said basically at the last battle scene, fucking Aquaman comes out of nowhere riding a fucking Kraken, who's basically an H.P. Lovecraft elder god. Basically, because you're not given any hint that it's like this gigantic thing is not necessarily part of the battle, and it's not necessarily you don't think it's not like a creature that was hinted to necessarily that like people know exists. It just basically comes out of the ground, and Aquaman's fucking riding it. And the funny thing about this is that they even hint to H.P. Lovecraft at the beginning of the movie, because at the first scene with Aquaman's dad. There's a shot on the coffee table where there is an H.P. Lovecraft book on the coffee table. Yes, there is. Okay, I noticed that.
You would know that more than me.
Yeah. So I saw. I don't know. I don't know which book it was, but literally the first thing I thought when he comes out of the ground, riding this thing that is so gigantic, it eclipses everything. It basically this is basically it's like the Death Star, like.
It's basically
it's like
a giant space war.
If Darth Vader came out of nowhere riding the Death Star into a fucking battle and just killing everybody, man. It was so ridiculous, and it's just like basically it's just like introducing a new god into this universe, because like again there's no hint to this thing, which would have been like that is a payoff that also was unrealized because there was no hint to it. It's like, had they hinted to this creature at one point or another, then it would have been so much more awesome, because you'd be like, whoa, what's this fucking... Like, if they had hinted to a gigantic kraken thing that's half... It's like half squid, half fucking a million other different... Basically looks like a kaiju. It looks like a kaiju.
Yeah,
more than
kind
anything.
of.
From that fucking robot movie. Pacific Rim. So So basically, it looks like a kaiju from Pacific Rim is what it is, and there we go. And then so like basically he comes out of nowhere, destroys everybody. Then they have their final fight. Blah blah blah. So
and then the queen comes back, and then and then Orm gets arrested. He gets
fucking arrested.
Whatever. And then, so he's not dying. So they make it. I'm good that they're not killing him, because like if they do a sequel to this, he has to come back, and I guess he has to kill his mother. Like in the comics.
It's so fucking lame that basically they're gonna at the end of the movie they hint that Black Manta's gonna come back, even though he's like the lamest sort of bad guy henchman. It's like I don't even think he's worthy. Like he's not worthy of being like he can't. He's just a human that was given a little bit of Atlantean technology, but the thing is like, and it's like experimental technology. But it's like why the fuck?
Well, like and then like bad guy of Aquaman or one of his.
Anyways, it was so dumb. So I want to touch on one. So there's one thing that I want to touch on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
One plot device.
We have to.
We got to finish. It's 31 minutes. So basically, to give you like a kind of a, we have to go back closer to the beginning of the movie, but where we told you that Aquaman's mom, Nicole Kidman, basically like she has to go back into the water to live amongst the Atlanteans. That's why she leaves them. So here's the thing. So when they find out, and this is all said in dialogue, you don't see any of this, but basically what happens is they're like, they found out that you had a bastard child, and the king was so pissed off that he threw her into the trench. Which you find out later is inhabited by these fucking sea creatures, like these,
because when all the
humanoid
evolved, some of them
they evolved in different areas. They
went back primal, basically. So they're like they're all those flesh-eating creatures.
Yeah. So basically
which look good, and then you can see that James Wan. That's where you could see James Wan horror movie background came into play. The way it was lighting and that plunge and with all the monster following. With
basically,
there's
it
looked good.
It looked good, but it was also so fucking ridiculous because like when Aquaman finally goes there. So okay, wait, let's backtrack a little bit. So basically, like the execution of Nicole Kidman that you're led to believe is that they cast her into this area, this trench area where all these monsters are, and basically it's like, oh, she gets sacrificed to these monsters. Okay, now we fast forward. Now we're into like the journey of Aquaman and Mara, so where they have to. So basically, this is the Indiana Jones portion where they're finding clues. So they get one clue which says, okay, now you have to go. Basically, they only gave them a direction. Yeah. So they start going in a direction, and then they're like, oh, we're in it's not even explained that they have to go into the trench area.
At one point their boat gets, and there's monster coming in.
But that's the problem. There's no, it's like, so like they're traveling in a boat, and then they start getting attacked by all the trench monsters, and they're going like, and their conclusion is, we need to go into their home now. But they're not given a reason to. All they were given, the only instructions they were given was a direction. So.
And that's another convenient
thing. It makes no sense that they would come to the conclusion that it's like, oh, we need to actually go into their lair, and then so they do go into the lair while being pursued by a million fucking of these things, and their only defense is a fucking like an emergency torch, like a flare, because their eyes aren't used to light, so the flare's keeping them all away. But they're basically being pursued. They're basically being pursued by thousands of these fucking things. And then they get to the lair, and then once they get to the lair,
they get like straight down.
Yeah, when they go into the lair, there's this light thing that again is never really explained, but they enter it, and it basically transports them to the center of the world.
Yeah. Which looks like a beach in Thailand.
Which kind of looks like a beach in fucking Thailand. And there's even like a Buddha statue in there too on top of it.
Yeah, it's
So
like,
it's
okay, so whatever that comes, whatever.
And then
the Queen,
and then Nicole Kidman's fucking there.
She survived.
So basically, what you're supposed to be fed here is that there's this artifact that was hidden that nobody knows where it is, but it also so happens to be exactly where they sacrifice people occasionally.
No, but that's the thing. How
it's
convenient.
So stupid.
Yeah, how convenient that at the end, the trench is where she finds his mom. Okay, because like you just said, she got.
They didn't need
and
her.
You know
they
what?
didn't need like
no, because at the end, like for me, like she got killed. Like we won't see Nicole Kidman come back.
That's
and then
Arthur's revenge.
Back,
that's Arthur's revenge. Like his want for revenge against I don't know, or that's his reason why he doesn't want anything to do with the Atlanteans because they sacrificed his mother. That's all that arc needed to be, you know, like the death of his mom. All it needed to do was give him motivation to not want anything to do with it.
But there's the thing. That's why they're not doing it. You know why? Because in the comic, I know they do it in I think it's the New 52 comic. Actually, Orm kills her mother.
Okay, all right.
And since they both survive, that could be the catalyst for the sequel, I guess. He kills the mother and take back the throne somehow.
I guess, but I feel like there's like this quasi forgiveness thing that goes on because, like, I mean,
yeah,
you're also led to believe that Orm is hurt too, that his mother died, and you know when he finally sees her again at the end of the movie, he's like, "Mom," you know, it's like one of those supposed to be touching moments where it's like you're still alive, and you know, it's like, oh, I guess is he gonna chill the fuck out now or whatever? And basically, she just is like, no, honey, like our two worlds, like the sea and the land, people, we're supposed to be together. It's like, so did you just convince him that his pursuits over the course of this movie were bullshit just because mommy says so?
Yeah.
Does that negate everything you know in your whole motivation to begin with?
Yeah,
you know, it's like
because it wasn't like in Men of Steel when Zod gets caught. They just you were right. No, Zod just like, there's no way, just like, I will find him. You know, like there's no he's just like, no, he's just straight up believing. Like that should have been, but like he saw his mom. I don't know. Because if you would have been like frustrated to lose at the end, you could see, oh yeah, in the sequel he's gonna come back and maybe attack again, try to take the throne again, and maybe kill his mom like in the comic, and that would bring another phase back. But
that would be so bad. Basically he'll start. No. What's gonna happen is, and I swear to God, actually, I'm calling this right now, is that he's gonna be the Loki character. He's basically the Loki character. He's playing that archetype. He's playing the Loki archetype.
Is he?
So he is. Because he's alive.
Because
he
has so to be not that character.
No. It doesn't matter. But like they're using him, I feel, in the exact same way that they would Loki. So he's the estranged brother, just like Thor, just like the whole Thor arcs. So he's the estranged brother that tries to take over the fucking kingdom. Now he's caught. Okay, so he's not dead. So he's going to have to get freed. He's not going to escape. He has to get freed by somebody more powerful. That is the logical arc of this. The problem is the archetype's been done before, and we've already kind of seen that sort of bullshit. We've seen it in Marvel.
Yeah.
So now it looks like they're trying to play it out in DC. So if we were going to assume, and I think it's safe to assume
that is that what they're doing?
Dude, they should have killed him.
Like because. I know.
Yes.
It's wrong.
Of course it's wrong because they don't know what the fuck they're doing in DC. I don't know what I'm doing either, but I know when something's wrong. You know, I don't need to look at I don't need to be an engineering fucking expert to look at the Leaning Tower of Pisa and realize that it's off.
He's the bad guy, treacherous character, so like it doesn't feel like, even though like he saw his mother, like he's redeeming himself, but like he felt like he wasn't pissed when he got arrested and everything. It's just like, dude, like really? Anyway, so basically what we're saying, okay, I just want to add quick things about this. There were some music choices that were horrible in this.
Wow, yes, okay.
That Africa by
Pitbull
was like so horrible.
And it throws,
I remember because you burst laughing.
Yeah, it threw the entire mood of the movie off. And I get it. It was kind of like a journey scene. So like, you know, and not Journey the band. Like
they're going from point A to point B.
They're going to Sahara. But there's like such a weird fucking choice. It's like, why not something like if it was something like Lord of the Rings where they kept it orchestral, but like, no, why'd you why did you use like a radio hit, like
and
a different radio hit for it? Just
three of them, and each time it was just like, even in the credit at the end, there was another song. It was like, oh, this is so bad.
There was also
this is so bad.
There was,
We're not talking like when they did like in Black Panther, they used the Kendrick Lamar, and he produced all those songs and everything.
That fit though. It fit
in the mood, but that didn't fit. It's just like throwaway hits of the moment, radio songs. It felt like so wrong. Even the whole soundtrack, I was really disappointed because in their final trailer, they had that crazy good theme in it, and I was just like, oh, that theme is so good, man. That's the theme for the movie. That's the theme for Aquaman. That's fucking great. And then it wasn't in the movie. It was just in the trailer. It was like, and the whole music just felt. I can't even tell you if there's a main theme to Aquaman. Like I can't even like. There's nothing.
There's no hook. There's no hook or anything like that.
At some points they had like some trippy, semi-electronic music that felt like Tron or something.
So to touch on that, there was So this movie hits so many fucking tropes. Like there's the running away trope through like the crowded city. There's what would have been the car chase. There, but it's done with spaceships. So there's that. So like basically like a lot of action tropes get kind of like drawn out in this fucking movie. Like basically all of them because they go between so many different settings. I suppose. So there was one scene. I think it was the underwater one of the underwater chases where they started playing. Like a retro darkwave tracks, but it came in like halfway through the scene, and the whole time I was just thinking, I'm like, oh my god, this feels like a sort of a rip a little bit of Ragnarok in a sense, the way Ragnarok, their whole thing was like they were big on darkwave or retrowave, I should say. So now. They brought retrowave tracks in a couple of times during the soundtrack, but it just felt fucking off.
Forced.
It felt forced, and it wasn't the music wasn't introduced on the right beat. Like it basically it was forced.
It was
so like it would come up like basically there would be like one there'd be some music playing in the background that's sort of fit for a chase scene, and then it kind of I feel like it morphed into this retro. It kind of did like a quick 180 or 90-degree turn, or however you want to call it. Like they would just sort of insert this retro wave in there, and it was just like, it palpably changed the atmosphere of the scene. And I think they even did it on the big land chase scene too, where they fucking basically shoehorned some retro wave in there, and it was like. It's like now it just doesn't feel right, and it wasn't even the right retro wave for it too.
No, man,
it wasn't because retro wave is not high octane, so it doesn't go well backing an action scene. It's more of a travel thing, and I mean I could have seen it that kind of music being played during, let's say, like they were traveling in a ship or something like that. Like okay, I can see it because. They use a lot of the same sort of color palette as Thor too, because the whole underwater thing, it's all fluorescent colors. So it's like okay, so I
can
understand.
Avatar / the Abyss type of colors, and they have like Mera controls the water, so they have that same water type of thing.
So that color palette lends itself to that kind of music. It was just done at the wrong. It was just inserted in the wrong time.
And I felt like all the memorable themes were not memorable.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So here's like I'll wrap this up.
So let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I'll wrap this up real quick. So it felt more like it's gonna be like Paul Ablaze reviews with featuring Neuralex, whatever. Yeah. Okay. No, but what I'm saying, like, I felt because like I like the way the action was shot. Okay. I like the way there was like some amazing creature design. So there's like they went for it like in the comic book. So it felt. I think at one point doing an Aquaman movie is gonna be corny. So like they embraced a part of it, which is fine. Some costume were just like but it's corny, but yeah, that's a comic book into life, and they're underwater, so they have seahorses and stuff, and
there's no other way they could have played it. It had to be
all that. It has to be.
It had to be that way. Yeah.
They had to go for it, and they went for it. Yeah. So I respect it. And
stylistically, which is fine. I can totally understand.
The monsters were cool. The world building was really cool because they go through all those places.
It was incredibly unbelievable though, because you're meant to basically believe that there's almost like an empire as big as anything that's on Earth underwater that's been
And nobody knows
undiscovered.
about it.
You know, and they wink at it at the very, very end of the movie. They go like there's like this rogue scientist that only appears twice, and he turns out he's going to be a focal point in the next movie. Go figure.
And he plays an Ant-Man too. That's just like
you're right. He's the fucking
the Asian
he's the
FBI agent or whatever. I'm
That
just
guy.
like, did you really have to take that guy? I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, so whatever.
So basically he kind of gives a wink and a nod to like it's like, well, we found like we're finding wreckage from Atlanteans and like these seismic, these odd seismic things that are happening underwater. It's just like, yeah, man, like our like pitiful technology should have been able to pick that up forever ago.
That's
basically
true.
the moment that we got any kind of fragment of that technology, or it's like we should have been able to find out that oh fuck, there's shit going down.
But whatever.
Whatever. But
so
like
whatever. So the effects were cool.
Effects were good.
Like the direction, the shot, the cinematography was really cool. The lighting, the costume design, the creature, like everything was really cool. So it really built, and I really like that those extra long shot for the action, going from one point to the other, coming back, going over, circling around. So there was a lot of shots. The battle,
basically the on land. Action scenes were cool.
Yeah.
Everything underwater I thought was fucking lame as shit.
For
for me, that's what I thought. I thought it was just an overcrowded Star Wars fuckfest.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think regular, when they're just like swimming,
that's fine.
Just like I thought it was really well done, because like if you want to make a thing underwater, you can't film a film underwater for that long, because it's impossible. So they basically did set, because there was somewhere like they were moving.
I think it was too big. It was too big in that they basically made out the underwater empires like basically like I said before, it's like bigger or as big as anything on Earth. No, it looks bigger. It looks actually basically it's like the scenes of Atlantis and the other empires might as well be ripped from the scenes in Star Wars and the prequels from Coruscant. And the big cities, they're basically that crowded, which is insane to think about. That it's like it negates what you're supposed to mentally led to believe that they are a secret.
It's like there's at least a hidden there's at least like the way they're talking. It's almost like there's at least like 1 billion people living underwater. At least.
It's like.
So like
you see really these just endless highways of ships going in and out of the city. Again, it's like think all you have to do is think of like the busy chase scene in at the beginning of Clone Wars after Padme. There's that failed assassination attempt, and then Anakin jumps through the fucking window, and then there's
and they go through all those like
it's that it might as well like that's how dense Atlantis is meant to be is portrayed as being, which is just fucking it's too much. Like it didn't need to be. I feel like it didn't need to be that big.
But at the same time, it had to, because how can they invade Earth if they're just like 2 million people?
Yeah, but they're not invading Earth anyways, because they're still relegated to the fucking water, unless like all their ships can fucking fly too, which actually at the end of the last battle, you're almost meant to believe that it can too. So it's not like they're so the civilization is so advanced and they're so numerous that it's just like, why are you playing second fiddle to the humans at any point when you could? It looks like they could easily just be like the Kraken comes up and goes like or whatever, like, hey, we're the bosses now. Like you guys are gonna stop like all of this polluting. Here's a bit of our technology for endless energy. Like, just stop this bullshit. But like they had to. Oh my god, it's too much.
Yeah, okay.
It's too much, man.
So that was too much. It's like a whole
it's like a second gummy.
No man, it's like no man. It's
you don't need that second gummy.
You don't
one
need,
gummy is
one
enough.
Gummy's enough. One edible's enough. But like what I mean is just like it feels like a 10-part comic book arc, which it is basically compressed into like 2-hour movie, and we're gonna go through the beat. And it seems so
could have been a Netflix thing.
So
I would have taken worse CGI to have it basically drawn out in like a 5-episode, hour and an hour.
Yeah,
each
maybe it would have served the
I think it would
story
have served
better. So
because
anyway,
they really have to run through a lot of plot points and a lot,
Yeah. So anyway, my point is, it felt, and that's what I was talking to, like on our way back in traffic, I was talking to him and I was saying, it feels like James Wan, this is, okay, here's the Aquaman script, this is what you have to do, it truly feels like it was written to be big internationally. I don't want to say it's built for China because it made a bunch of money, but it kind of feels like even if you translate that thing, whatever language, it doesn't matter really because the dialogue are so poor, basically, that even if you translate it, it might even get better. So yeah, it's true. It's sad, but it's true.
Put it in Google Translate.
Yeah,
somebody.
But like it feels like James Wan basically like, okay, I'll do that thing, but I want this amount of budget and I want to do the Kraken. If I could do, I want this amount of budget and I want to do a Kraken at the end of the movie, or I fucking walk. It's like, okay, but you got to put the song by Pitbull. Yeah, whatever. As soon as I can do my Kraken, I don't give a shit. So that's basically what he did. So the Kraken looks good. Yeah. His action scenes looks good. Everything looks good. Yeah. But
okay, so point finale, I suppose. It was a quite a beautiful movie, but I feel it failed so much in terms of like an engaging story that it took me out of it a little bit too much. And I mean, granted, like, listen, I don't think I'm a movie snob, but I just felt like the inconsistencies and the inadequacies just hit me, were just so obvious and so glaring that it was just tough to like it. And I almost feel at this point that it's like, man, there's more shitty fucking superhero movies, in my opinion, that are coming out than good ones. And I mean, obviously there's the exceptions of like the newer Spider-Mans and, Infinity War. And it's just, I don't know if this is just like another classic example of DC needing to get a movie out to fill a quota in order to further the DCEU. That they didn't take the time to craft a better movie. That they just
script,
but that's what I'm talking about. The script.
But here's the thing. The thing. Like we said, it feels like they cut a bunch of stuff because a bunch of stuff of like the links weren't made.
But the story
with the knife with the father.
The story is so good.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So
basically,
story
like so lacking.
They did it like they went through that whole story, that whole origin of Aquaman story, but like in order to do so, they sacrificed a bunch of stuff.
But you know what? Then that kind of sounds like I don't know if, like what happened with Anchorman 2, where they just like filmed so fucking much and then they kind of cut it together to make a movie.
No, but that's not the thing because like in comedy they do a bunch. They do a bunch of this.
No. But in Anchorman 2 or maybe it was Anchorman 1, where there's an actual whole second movie that got filmed that I think it's called Wake Up Ron Burgundy or something like that. Basically, they had filmed so much in a whole B plot, a whole B story, that wound up getting left on the cutting room floor because they just were like basically they were just shitting out the plot, in the story as it comes. And I mean, this movie follows such typical beats that are so familiar that it's just like, okay, it's this again. Like, okay, it's this again. It's like it really. I don't know if this is me getting tired of the genre in general, and if you're one of those people that's like, well, you're watching a superhero movie, like, what else do you expect from it? I'm like, well, it's not what I expect, but what I hope is that you don't follow the same tropes that have been drawn out, because we are starting to really reach the superhero fatigue, where there have been so many movies. We're a decade strong into the MCU, where we've been fed these movies, and now obviously the DCU is making their bid and building their universe. But if you're not going to change, if you're not going to deviate from these tropes and you're going to feed it to the audience, you can't expect them to eat it up the way we did, a decade ago when Iron Man was coming out. Like, if this had come out, maybe if this had come out 10 years ago, it would feel a little fresher. Not even.
Because the first Iron Man is a way better movie than
and that's what I'm saying. I'm giving it more credit than it deserves, but because I still think that like the story and the plot itself are like, I think it's just played out regardless of the last decade of superhero movies. But seeing this played out story done in a superhero context is almost even more just not nauseating, but just more. It's even more boring now because it's like, man, we need like now, especially that the bar has been made, the bar's been lifted here with Infinity War and their kind of universe building. It's just like, well, this is how good the storytelling is on this side, you know, and being fed this kind of inferior product is kind of.
I know, because like last week,
it makes it so much more lackluster.
Yeah. But last week I saw Into the Spider-Verse, and that was just like such a perfect movie.
I gotta wrap
And we were supposed to do a 20-minute thing, but it's an hour.
54.
Okay, so my bottom line is, it's not horrible.
See, it's super high. Do drugs, do a lot of drugs,
or
and enjoy
drunk.
the ride.
It could be fine. Like it's a good time at IMAX, and it's the effects and the visuals are worth the IMAX and everything. But it was disappointing. So I don't know what's next for DC. They have Shazam coming up, and then Joker, and then Matt Reeves should announce his new Batman soon. So we'll check about that.
I think this is it. This is the beginning of the end for the DCEU. Fuck you. We're not giving you any more of my money.
That was
I'm done. That's it. I'm finished.
That was disappointing. So, hey man, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So, is there somewhere people can follow you?
Paul Ablaze on Facebook. That's it. And Paul of Ages on Instagram. So
Paul of Ages on Instagram. So check that out.
I'm not a fan of Rock of Ages. So I am also in a band called Ages. So that's where that. Anyways.
Whatever.
That's all you need to know.
Whatever. So thank you very much. And I'm Neuralex, and that was our spoiler discussion.
The brutal breakdown of
Aquaman. That went way too long. That felt more like a podcast than an actual review video. So
it's all right. I like it.
But we don't care. So whatever. So come back soon, and I guess I'm gonna try to, because I don't think I'm gonna see Aquaman again. I'm gonna try.
No point.
No, I'm gonna see Spider-Verse again, and maybe Bumblebee.
I want to see Spider-Verse.
Yeah, all right. So maybe I'll go with you, then we'll
do another one.
Yeah. Okay. So take care, guys. Cheers. Stay safe.